I grew up in Townsville, North Queensland, but these days I live on the other side of the world in Montreal. And aside from the youth crime and the carjackings, I do miss my hometown, especially my family and the access to the great outdoors. Today I've decided to bring myself a little bit closer to my roots by cooking Townsville Soup. What exactly is Townsville Soup, I hear you ask? That's a great question. Bear with me here while I explain the two things that determine the ingredients that go into Townsville Soup: the postcodes of the Townsville region and price lookup codes. Firstly, postcodes. In Australia, postcodes are made of 4 digits, and aside from some exceptions, every state and territory has a range of 1,000 postcodes which are assigned to specific locations. For example, Queensland postcodes fall between 4,000 to 4,999, and as you're about to see on this map, the Townsville postcodes start at 4810 and extend through 4811, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Now on to price lookup codes, or PLU codes. Almost everyone has come into contact with a PLU code at some stage. You know, when you buy a banana, and it has that little sticker on it with a number, most likely 4011. Well, that's a PLU code. Price lookup codes are an internationally administered system of numbers, usually 4 digits long, but sometimes 5 digits, that identify all the different types of fresh produce you could purchase from a grocery store. PLUs can be specific to the commodity, the variety, the size, and sometimes even the region of production. For example, a small gala apple grown in Quebec, like the one I have here, is 4132. But the same apple grown in the Western United States is 4133. And some PLUs are more general, like 4193, which can be assigned by a retailer to a type of apple that doesn't already have its own standardized PLU. Now, let's go back to the banana, 4011. Guess what? That just happens to be the postcode for an area north of Brisbane around Clayfield. And 4132? Well, that's just south of Brisbane, around the Marsden area. You see what I'm getting at here? Yes, there are 10 price lookup codes that happen to match with the 10 postcodes of the Townsville region. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how I determine the ingredients for Townsville Soup. Let's go through them one by one. 4810, the postcode of Townsville City itself, is the PLU for bunched or banded turnips. 4811 is a purple top turnip. 4812 is a white turnip. 4813 is a retailer assigned turnip, which could be any type of turnip. To simplify the recipe, I'm going to ignore the retailer assigned PLUs. 4814 are water chestnuts, an ingredient I've never used before in my life. 4815 is watercress. 4816 is for a golden sweet potato. 4817 is also for sweet potato, but with red or orangey flesh. 4818, which just happens to be my home postcode, is also a retailer assigned sweet potato. So again, it's for general use, which I'll ignore for this recipe. And finally, 4819, the postcode for Magnetic Island, is cassava. And that's it. They make up the ingredients for Townsville Soup. It's very root vegetable heavy, but perfect for a chilly day like today. And I guess now it's time to go shopping. I've returned from my shopping, so let me share with you what I got. Unfortunately, I was not able to find all the ingredients, so my Townsville Soup is not going to be 100% complete, 100% accurate, but I'll make do with what I have. I must say I struggled with the turnips. It was impossible to find any bunched or banded turnips, so straight away 4810 is out the window. I did, however, manage to find plenty of white turnips, which you can see here. Almost every shop that I visited had white turnips. I did struggle to distinguish the difference between a white turnip and a purple top turnip. I did a lot of Googling and both yielded similar results to what you're seeing here. You know what, I'm just going to say that this counts as both a white and a purple top turnip, so that's 4811 and 4812 in the pot. I did, however, find one other turnip, which is this one you see here. From the shop that I got it from, it was listed as a Quebec turnip. It didn't have any type of variety. I did find out in a shop afterwards that sold the same product that this is actually a yellow turnip. And after some research, I found out that yellow turnip's PLU code is 4095, which does not correlate with any of Townsville's postcodes, so this turnip is excluded from Townsville Soup. Okay, next. Water chestnuts, 4814. This one I struggled with because it's literally listed on the description as legumes. I had no clue that this was a water chestnut, but I found through Encyclopedia Britannica that indeed these are water chestnuts. I have absolutely no idea what to do with these. I'm going to have to do some Googling very soon. 4814 in the pot. Okay, next is watercress, which I was able to find quite easily at Exo Fruits, and quite a few of the other shops that I went to had it in stock as well. So this is 4815 also in the pot. Sweet potatoes are next. Here is a golden sweet potato, 4816 in the pot. And the sweet potato with the red or orangey flesh, and that happens to be this one here. It's important to note that this one is actually an organic sweet potato. Organic products are a little bit different in that their PLUs contain 5 digits and they always start with a 9. In this case, it's 94817. But you know what? I'm going to overlook that, and I'm still going to say that this is acceptable as 4817 for the Townsville Soup. So it goes into the pot. Finally, we have cassava, which has a very big sticker here saying 4819. So cassava in the pot. And that, my friends, is going to be my Townsville Soup. I'm going to start with the cassava. I've never prepared this myself before, but my darling wife has a number of times, and it's very delicious. I'm going to peel the skin and pressure cook it because apparently it's toxic to eat if you don't go through that process. While the cassava is cooking there, I'll go ahead and prepare the water chestnuts. Look at these weird little things. They're like the head of an ox. I can tell you that these little bastards are extraordinarily difficult to peel. I'm going to give up very, very soon. You know what? I have this much, and I think that's going to have to do because I cannot bear to peel another one of these goddamn things. Now, on with the rest of the ingredients. I'll get to the sweet potato next. Here we are, the 4817. There's quite a difference in flesh color between the two sweet potatoes as well. I can really smell the cassava boiling there in the pressure cooker. Off to the turnips now. So here we have almost all the ingredients ready to go into the soup pot. I'll wait for the cassava to finish. I'll throw it onto the pot, boil it for about 45 minutes, and then whiz it through the blender. And that's going to be my Townsville Soup. And of course, how could I forget the final touch, the watercress. Now it's the moment of truth. Finally, after all this time, I have my Townsville Soup ready to eat. This had better be good because this is going to be my lunch for the next 7 days. It's got a really sticky kind of consistency to it. I won't do any salt or pepper yet, I'll just try it as it is to begin with. Here we go. Townsville Soup. The first attempt. Oh, you know what? That's not so bad. That is not so bad. I actually really like it. The combination of vegetables work really well together. It just has this really smooth consistency with this nutty, earthy kind of flavor, and the watercress adds this bitter edge to it, which I really like. My God. I'm gonna try with a bit of salt and pepper now. I'm genuinely impressed with how good the Townsville Soup has turned out to be. I mean, this video was just supposed to be a joke. I wasn't actually expecting it to taste good. Calling out all Townsville restaurants and food trucks. A touch of salt, jam corner, the balcony, wagtails, mangiamo. Put this on your menu. Put Townsville Soup on your menu, and I'm sure it's gonna sell. Well, that's it. I'm very satisfied with my dinner, and I know that I'm up for a pleasant 7 days worth of lunches with the rest of this soup. Townsville Soup. Who would have thought? So, in conclusion, after all that, what did I learn? Well, I learnt that actually it's not such a bad idea after all to take PLU codes and match them up against Australian postcodes and create recipes from them. If Townsville Soup turned out so well, then I'm wondering now what Brisbane salad's going to taste like or Melbourne roast is going to taste like. I mean, it wasn't 100% accurate, right? It was missing the banded turnips, 4810, which is arguably the most important postcode in all of Townsville. But I think I did a pretty good job at including all the others in the Townsville region. Thanks for sticking around and watching this silly little video. If you enjoyed it, then please like and subscribe. And also check out my other video related to Townsville that I put out a few years ago, where I rode my bike from Toronto to Brantford, Ontario, a small city in Ontario, where I found Townsville Court in the middle of this neighborhood. So I'll link to that below in the description. Please check it out. I really appreciate it. And that's it. Townsville Soup was a success. Cheers.